All right, so we are going to go through the Act 5 questions since I can't be there to go through them in person. In scenes 1 and 2, we saw Brutus and Cassius meeting with Antony and Octavius to go over a few things before the battle starts, and that's what would be called the parley. They're meeting to talk, and basically what they're doing when they're meeting to talk is just insulting each other, challenging each other to the battle. They're not making peace at all. They are just talking about their reasons for fighting. After Antony and Octavius leave to go off to get ready for the battle, Brutus and Cassius are left with their soldiers, and Cassius is talking to Messala, one of the soldiers, about some omens he has seen. And what he has seen is he saw previously eagles flying around his soldiers, which would have been a good sign. And then those eagles flew away and were replaced by crows and ravens, which are classic signs of death because they feed off of dead animals, dead bodies. So Cassius sees that as a bad sign, and he's seen, since he saw the change, he's no longer confident of victory. The change has occurred that he's just more pessimistic about the battle. He's not confident of victory. He believes that this will be their last day alive. Brutus discusses how he is absolutely not willing to be captured in the event of a defeat. He would not want to be paraded through the streets of Rome and have other soldiers take credit for capturing him. At the end of scene 2, or really all of scene 2, it's just one short paragraph, Brutus sends Messala, one of his soldiers, on an errand to go tell Cassius to attack. He believes that if they can get all of their forces together and attack Antony and Octavius, that they will overthrow them and win the battle. When Cassius gets this message, he's not too confident, though. He believes that it's not a good strategy. He doesn't want to put all of their hopes in this one battle. So scene 3 finds us with Cassius, and Cassius is trying to figure out if really he wants to go into this battle with Brutus because he thinks it's a bad idea. So he sends Titinius, his closest friend, down to check things out. He says, okay, Titinius, you go down, ride down and see what's happening and report back to me so I know whether it's a smart move for us to go in or not. He loses track of Titinius, though. He can't see him. And so he sends his servant Pindarus up onto a hill to watch Titinius and to see if he see what happens to Titinius as he rides into the battle. Pindarus is shouting back to Cassius what's going on, and he says, Titinius rides down. He sees tents on fire. He's been surrounded by men, and he's been taken off his horse, and he's been carried away. Cassius hears this and thinks, my best friend has just been captured by the enemy, and I'm the one that ordered him to do it. He feels tremendous guilt and decides to kill himself. Technically, he doesn't really kill himself, though. He orders his servant to kill him. He orders his servant to stab him with a sword. Cassius dies, and then Brutus comes upon the body of Cassius. But interestingly enough, with Brutus is Titinius. Titinius was never captured by the enemy. He was surrounded by his own soldiers. They were shouting, but they were shouting in victory, not because they were capturing Titinius. He was lifted off his horse like crowd surfing style. It wasn't because he was being captured. And Titinius is overcome with grief. He says to Cassius's body, he says, didn't you see that they gave me this wreath to give to you in victory? And he's just overcome with grief, feels like it's his fault, and so he kills himself as well. Brutus is again grieving Cassius and says that he'll send the body away because he doesn't want it to disturb the soldiers. He doesn't want it to break their morale. Scene 4 is nearly completely cut out of the movie, although there's a short part where we see Lucilius being captured, and Antony rides up on him and says, That man is not Brutus, but keep him safe. That's all we get in the movie. It's a little bit longer in the book. Lucilius attempts to deceive the two soldiers by pretending he's Brutus. He succeeds at first. The soldiers are fooled, but of course, once they bring this fake Brutus back to Antony, Antony is not fooled. He knows it's not Brutus. Lucilius says, "Ha, Brutus would have never allowed himself to be captured anyway, so you know I can't be Brutus." And Antony pays Lucilius a great compliment by keeping him alive and not killing him, and saying that he'd rather have a soldier like that on his side than be his enemy, because he believes that it took a lot of intelligence and loyalty to be able to trick his soldiers into thinking he was Brutus. All right, last scene, scene 5. Brutus is requesting of all of his friends and soldiers, "Hold my sword, I want to run upon it and kill myself." He believes that his time has come. He believes he's about to be captured because he sees Antony and Octavius riding up toward him. And he has seen the ghost of Caesar 2 times now. And he believes that that's a sign that he needs to end this, because the death of Caesar will be revenged one way or the other. He's seen him once in his tents at Sardis, and now once at the Battle of Philippi. Clitus and Dardanius both refuse to hold the sword. They walk away, and Caesar's ghost appears to Brutus. Brutus asks Strato, one more of his soldiers, "Please hold this sword while I run upon it." Strato agrees. Brutus runs upon Strato's sword and dies. Just as Brutus thought, Antony and Octavius ride up soon, see the body of Brutus, and Antony looks at him and says, "This was a man." And he describes how everybody except Brutus killed Caesar because they were envious. Brutus killed Caesar because he thought it was the right thing to do, and he thought it was best for Rome. And so he pays Brutus a great compliment after his death, saying that he was really the one conspirator who did it for the right reasons. Octavius also pays a compliment to Brutus at the end by saying that he will give him the full burial and funeral of a soldier honorably killed in battle, and he will allow Brutus's body to lie in his tents that night so that it can stay safe.